Rachel Gilkey, Director of Programming and Education. Tonight's opening reception and celebration of the amazing Patricia Hurl's work launches our autumn season, and I can't think of a more inspiring way to do so. Irish Gothic is a major retrospective spanning 40 years of painting from Patricia Hurl, one of Ireland's most accomplished and respected artists. The show, whose work centers around the experiences of Irish women and themes of loss, pain, frustration, humor, and strength, debuted at the Irish Museum of Modern Art in 2023 and comes to IAC as a limited-time theater installation and a full-season building-wide exhibition. Tonight, you're among the very first to get to see the show. Tonight also marks the start of a 6-year partnership between the Irish Museum of Modern Art and Irish Arts Centre. Irish Museum of Modern Art is Ireland's leading visual arts institution. From now to 2031, IAC will present 3 exhibitions from IMMA's permanent and special collections. We wanted to begin with Irish Gothic and Patricia because of the astounding beauty of the work, the immense impact that Patricia has had on the world of Irish arts, a real artist's artist, and because of how the themes speak to us about our own experiences. She reflects back to us our capacity for humor and strength and how important those are to hold up alongside everything else that we feel. We are very pleased to welcome Ambassador to the UN, Fergal Mythen, our friends from the world of visual arts, IAC members and audiences, and from IMMA, Mary Kremen and Lucy Durek, and curator Joanne Mullen. Working with Joanne on this show has been a dream, and her care for Patricia made us feel like we knew her before meeting her for the first time just yesterday. I also, of course, extend my gratitude for collaboration to my colleagues, Kester Wolgamuth, Max Smith, Manny Da Silva, and Thomas Short. We are also fortunate to celebrate one more first tonight. I'm pleased we get to welcome Consul General Gerald Angley for his first official visit to Irish Arts Centre. We're very happy to have you here and would like to welcome you to the podium.
Thank you so much, Rachel. What a way to start. What a wonderful, wonderful exhibition. What a special thing to start with as my first engagement here as the new Consul General in New York. So, I mean, this is an amazing place to start with. You know, from the moment you enter, you feel it's more than a fine building, and you'll see its versatility on incredible show with this exhibition. It's a home away from home for Irish artists of every kind, as well as audiences from everywhere, including here in New York. So this is a place where creativity is nurtured, celebrated, shared with New York and the world. And I just want to pay tribute to the Art Centre's team for what they bring here. But as I said at the outset, what a wonderful moment to gather tonight. It's the first week of September. I'm learning this is the start of the new cultural season. This is January 1st in the cultural world. And you know what we're really celebrating tonight is Patricia's work, but also the start of a 6-year partnership between the Irish Museum of Modern Art, between IMMA and the Irish Arts Centre. So the partnership is not only about exhibitions, it's about building real enduring relationships across the Atlantic, about fostering dialogue, creativity and shared understanding. At a time when connections between cultures are being tested, partnerships like this matter more than ever. And it is fitting that the partnership begins with Patricia's work, the work of Patricia Hurl. I've just been upstairs. Wow is all I can say. It's already wow down here, but as displayed upstairs, the power is extraordinary. And for those of you who haven't been up yet, you're in for an absolute treat, and I'm certainly going back up. But she's one of Ireland's most important artists, and one who merits more recognition still, starting with what's happening here. This retrospective, Irish Gothic, and it's a really apt description, I think, was first shown at IMMA in 2023. It's so many things, but fearless, feminist, and deeply moving was what I was already picking up before I even came here and saw the real pictures, and there's so much more you can say. But look, to bring it here to New York, where it will meet new audiences like yourselves, is truly significant. Patricia, we honour your courage, your vision and your contribution to Irish art. It's lovely to meet you just a few minutes ago for the first time. We're also delighted to welcome your partner and collaborator, Terry. Very welcome here. So this partnership is just one example of IMMA's global connecting work. Another is Ireland Invites, a 3-year initiative with Dublin's Hugh Lane Gallery and Culture Ireland that brings international curators to Ireland to meet Irish artists and institutions directly. In just its first year, 14 Irish artists were selected from Sydney and Toronto to Liverpool, Lahore, Bangkok, Helsinki, and Hawaii. That's quite an exotic set of locations. And it feels especially fitting to highlight IMMA's work and reputation here in New York, a city that has always welcomed Irish creativity on the world stage. So for Patricia's exhibition, I'd like to commend the work of IMMA's curator, Joanne Mullen, as well as Director of Programming here, Rachel. Their leadership and creativity made this exhibition possible. Thanks to the Pollock Krasner Foundation here in New York for their support of Patricia's work and of IMMA's mission. So tonight is about celebrating the power of art to connect us across geographies, generations and perspectives. It is also about celebrating Patricia, celebrating this new IMMA-IAC partnership, and recognising the enduring importance of cultural exchange strengthened by the arts and Irish American communities at a time when we need it most. So Gaurav Mila Mahagwiv, please enjoy Irish Gothic, and I say it again, wow. Thank you very much.
Joanne Mullen is Curator of Collections at Irish Museum of Modern Art and, of course, invaluable to the original show, Irish Gothic, at IMMA, and to everything that you see here today. Please welcome Joanne to the stage.
Okay, just to echo Rachel's welcome, and thank you all for joining us here to celebrate the opening of Irish Gothic by Patricia Hurl, which marks an exciting 6-year partnership between the Irish Art Centre and IMMA. So it's really wonderful to see so many people here this evening and some familiar faces, including my colleagues Mary Cramen and Lucy Durrock. And I'm not sure if Martin Mullins is here yet, but one of our collection artists who has a studio just around the corner. So I'd like to begin by expressing my sincere thanks on behalf of IMMA and Patricia to all of those who've made the exhibition possible, to the dedicated staff of the Irish Arts Centre who have been amazing to work with, especially Rachel Gilkey, Kestrel Wolgamuth, Andy O'Reilly, Max Smith, and all of the amazing technical team. And as Gerard has said, the Y factor is really down to your amazing work and their amazing work. So their commitment in the Irish Arts Centre and their vision to bring artists and audience together in such meaningful ways is so impressive. So it's thank you to the Irish Consulate, thank you, Gerard, for their continued support of Irish culture abroad, to the Pollock Krasner Foundation and to Culture Ireland, whose belief in the importance of Irish voices on the global stage has been essential in bringing Patricia's work here to New York. I can't really stress enough how important it is for IMMA to be building this community within New York, and really as we strive to establish IMMA as a global connector and really build our learning and research centre. It's so important to build the collection with wonderful artists like Patricia and really to have their work on the global stage, seen on the global stage. So I just want to say a few words about Patricia and how the exhibition came about, and then we can move upstairs so you have time to spend in the exhibition and we can be upstairs to answer any questions. Okay, so who's Patricia Hurl? So she was born in Dublin in the 1940s to a house full of women, and as was the case in most Irish houses, had a conservative Catholic upbringing, filled with reverence to the church and a good dose of guilt, but which is channeled so amazingly. So she painted from a young age, but it was really, she only began her formal arts training later in life when she started studying at night time in the National College of Art and Design in 1975 with a 6-week-old baby, I believe. Then before she graduated then with an honours degree from Dún Laoghaire School of Art in 1984. By this time she had 4 children and a husband, all who needed minding and leaving little time for her own work. And I believe that it's added to that sense of urgency that you can see in her work, and that's the movement and just the overwhelming sense of paint and brushwork. So I've had the pleasure of working with Patricia and her partner and artist, a fellow artist, Terry Rudin, over the last number of years in preparation for the first iteration of Irish Gothic in IMMA in 2023. And as Catherine Marshall has written in her essay, this was an exhibition that was righting some of the wrongs of Irish art history. So IMMA has long championed the work of artists who have been unfairly overlooked or not given the recognition they deserve. So to be honest, until 2019, I had only really heard about Patricia and read about Patricia. I hadn't really seen much of her work in real life. So I was aware of her during research into the the WAG, the Women's Artists Action Group from the 1980s, of Patricia was such a huge part of. So the first time I saw Patricia's work was in the Highlands Gallery at the Elliptical Affinities exhibition, which was an exhibition dedicated to women artists from the 1980s. So the gallery, for most people would probably not have visited, is an old Franciscan church in Drogheda. And the altar is very ornate, but it is still it's still there in the centre of the gallery, and it's used within the exhibition space. So Patricia, they had installed 3 monumental works by Patricia paintings that were standing upright in the gallery in absolute defiance and holding their own. As you go up into the gallery, one of the largest works in the space was the main centrepiece in the altar. So from that day, I've been hooked on Patricia and her work. So subsequently, Emma purchased work by Patricia. We actually purchased work by Patricia during the pandemic, at a time when we couldn't visit any artist studios, and we hadn't actually seen the work, but we had bought the work through images, and obviously we're so delighted to have them in the collection. Quickly after, IMMA director Annie Fletcher, who was also hooked, was anxious to present a solo exhibition of work by Patricia. So at this stage, we didn't really know how many works Patricia had, or the volume of work, or the type of work. So when we visited Patricia first, Terry and Patricia live in Rosscray in a beautiful architectural barn. So a lot of work was packed into her studio, but also rolled in a shipping container in their grounds. So we were delighted to find that she has kept so much work from the 80s. And really, the exhibition here, we had around 70 works in the exhibition in IMMA, spanning her career. And since then, the exhibition has travelled to various venues throughout Ireland. But this is the first time, obviously, has left the country. And as I think Patricia will agree, that it's never been displayed so dramatically as it is here in the Art Centre. So the current exhibition in the Art Centre consists of around 30 works, and mainly drawn from the 1980s, so including the works that are here in the ground floor. And then the more recent Warriors series. You probably might have seen 2 of the Warriors series in the window downstairs, and there's more upstairs as well. So there is also a display of Patricia's archive. Patricia very kindly donated her archive and her lifelong love of notebooks and amazing sketches to the IMMA collection, which will form a huge part of the Art Collection and Learning Centre. So she has long been a resilient and radical presence in Irish art. From her early years, she stood fearlessly against the prevailing expectations of women, making work that challenged a culture that was really steeped in silence. So at a time when Ireland was dominated by narrow ideals of domestic bliss, Patricia gave us images that told a different truth. And her first solo exhibition at Temple Bar in 1988 was very aptly called The Living Room, Myths and Legends. So especially at this time, in the late 80s, Patricia's work was not easy, and it was never meant to be. It's work that speaks of loss and resilience, of domesticity and defiance, and of tenderness and rage. So it reminds us that art can be both deeply personal and unflinchingly political. So it reminds us that artists like Patricia do not simply reflect the world, they challenge it, they reshape it, and they open up new possibilities for others to follow. So tonight we celebrate Patricia not only as an artist, but as a trailblazer whose radical honesty continues to inspire. So before we go and visit the gallery, I'd like to introduce you to the wonderful Patricia Hurl and her fellow artist and partner, Terry Rudin, who've made a monumental effort to be here tonight. And it's so they've been here for a few days now, probably still very jet lagged. But yeah, we've been having a wonderful time. And I'd like everybody to, if you have a glass, to raise a glass and to, oh, sorry. Thank you. Like magic. Told you she was great. To raise a glass for to Patricia. Heavenly tears. God, look at you. You're mad. I still don't know how they were done. That's the truth. I don't know, did they get up in the middle of the night and do it and not know? Because I look at them now and I say, God, Jesus Christ. And I'm not a great talker. I'm a painter. You have to understand me from this. And she talked about my notebook. And I carry this, them all, because it gets me out of trouble when I'm asked to talk or something like that, that I can read it. But I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to say thank you so much for coming. I hope you won't enjoy it. You definitely not enjoy it. But I suppose somebody said to me, but Patricia, this is like the male. Can I say a little bit about the males in the art colleges? I went to art college when I was 40, and I was just so innocent, and I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to meet all these lovely artists, and it's going to be wonderful. And they were full of men. All our teachers were male teachers. And we just think differently. And so they never liked my work. And I had to fight for everything that I did. One is, what I say about the yellow. I like the colour yellow anyway. I should have worn a yellow thing tonight. And I was doing a triptych. I was real cheeky because I was very young in the art world, but I was old in myself. And so I did it. You'll see the piece upstairs is the middle piece. I dressed her in yellow. It's like a warning colour for me. Like, don't do it. And a dangerous colour. And I was told by my tutor, he called me into his office and he said, I had an exam. Yeah, I had an exam, midterm exam, and I failed. And so he called me in and he said, you failed because you used that yellow. And I said, what? He said, you're not supposed to use yellow, especially in a triptych, in the middle. They're not going to look at anything else but the yellow. And I still to this day don't know what he was talking about. And luckily enough, somebody heard this, another man, luckily a nice one, and they looked at my, what do you call it when you get it, on my results, and they called me in, and they had a lot of people there and said, you know, what did you think of your results? And I said, I don't know what do you say to them. They're after doing it. And
they said, look, we've looked at it again and we think that you shouldn't. And they gave me a very high instead. And so it's all so fragile, I suppose. Because when I was teaching too, you'd see these young people with, like, bright-eyed, you know, full of energy and wanting to be artists. And it's such a rough road to go into an art college. And you've got, as I say, these men deciding they know what art is about. And they take the soul out of a lot of young people. So I'm here to say, any of you want to do art, just do art. Don't go near a college. And just have paint in front of you and don't think. Because if you think, you're gone. And just paint and enjoy yourself, and it'll work out. Promise you it will. Okay. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.